Most photographers use contrast wrong and the result is flat and lifeless images. In this video, I'll show you two kinds of contrast, color and exposure, to make your photos feel alive. I promise you, you and your audience will love the results. You will achieve images you have never achieved before. I'm going to show you guys the images that I have taken, what my mindset was, what I was thinking, how I use exposure, contrast and color contrast so I can send my viewers' attention exactly where I want them to go and feel the way I want them to feel. Let me show you something subtle but super powerful. In this photo, I made the swan the darkest part of the frame on purpose. The snow, the sky, the ice, I overexposed the background just enough not to blow it out, but to push it into a soft, glowy white. By doing that, the eyes naturally goes to the swan. Even though it's white, it reads as dark than everything else. This is exposure contrast used for control, not by shadows or drama, but by shaping light around the subject. I didn't wait for the perfect light. I made contrast work for myself by deciding what exactly needed to stand out. And in this case, it was my subject. I want to take one of them home. Alright guys, in the second one, let's look at some color contrast and how just a subtle move of your body, of your positioning, can help you with the color contrast. So here's a skimmer. For this image, I raised myself higher, not to follow the bird, but to control the background. The ocean behind the skimmer isn't just pretty, it's strategic. By placing the black, white and orange bird against the smooth blue backdrop, I created color contrast that instantly pulls your viewer's eye to the subject. There is no clutter, no distractions, just clean separation. This is what I meant by making contrast intentional. Instead of letting the bird blend into the shoreline, I elevated myself so every feather and every color had space to breathe. This is image number 3, and I have to tell you, I am using contrast on my terms. Like the swan earlier, this snowy owl lives in the world of white. Snow in the foreground, soft sky in the back, but I didn't need shadows or dark tones to make him stand out. I simply made sure that the foreground and the background were the brightest parts of the frame. So the owl, even though he's white, becomes the darkest thing here. The claws, the eyes, the texture of the wings, they all hold weight because they sit against pure glowing white. That's the power of exposing for the impact. Alright guys, take a look at this horse and see how I've used gray, black and light gray as contrast. This image is all about restraint, just a quiet, honest moment. But to make that softness land, I still needed contrast. And in this case, it came from water behind him. I shifted my position just enough to line up with the brightest part of the background that reflected water behind the horse's head. The subtle glow around the mane gave me the separation I needed. Without the light background, the entire image would collapse into a gray on gray. That's why you guys have to be so careful in choosing your background or your foreground just for contrast. But contrast isn't always bold, sometimes it's barely there. But when used with care, it creates softness, shape and emotions. Let's look at this next one. It is going to be so clear to you when and where and how to use contrast in your imagery, because look what happens when color does the heavy lifting. The reddish orange tone in the feathers set against the soft, almost gray background. That's color contrast in action. I kept the background simple, No harsh lines, no bright patches, just a smooth, natural tone that lets the warmth of the bird's feathers come forward. And notice the cool gray of the wings? It balances the warmth in the neck and draws the eye back in. The temperature contrast, warm versus cool, creates tension even in the calm moments. This isn't about cranking saturation, it's about choosing your background and letting your subject's natural colors tell the story. So in this next one, I'm going to show you how I got movement into the mix along with contrast. So here I am photographing in Camargue and it's a gloomy day. So at first glance, there is no contrast because the sky, the mud, the water, everything is all the same tone. But I raised myself just high enough to drop their heads and bodies against the line of dark trees in the distance. That's what lets the white break free from the chaos. The blur, the water, the energy, the eye knows where exactly to look simply because I placed it against a darker background. Alright guys, so let's go to the next one. I wanted the background to blow out because I wanted everyone's energy and focus to go straight to the blue. This was about creating space for the color to breathe. The deep blue, the near metallic tones in the feathers. I exposed for the feathers, not for the scene. By letting the whites in the backgrounds go bright or exposed in some places, I made sure that the viewer's attention stays where I wanted it. When something matters in the frame, make room for it. Something that means letting go of everything else. I hope you guys are thinking of how you can use this information on contrast when you are out there, because just moving a little bit here and there, up or down, and keeping the contrast in mind makes such a big difference in your photography. Not just putting a tripod and saying, okay, click, click, click. No, you go, you look around, you see, okay, I can use this background for this contrast, I can do this and I can do that and I can do this. That is what makes a better photographer. That is what makes you take advantage of all the location, not just the subject, the location as well. In this one, I was in Norway photographing the muskox. It was snowing, it was cold, it was gray all over the place. I don't feel my face. The wind is gusting. It's insane. And the only way for me to make the muskox stand out against the gray sky, I had to lay down all the way in order for me to get the sky in the frame, because if I was a little bit on the higher side, I would have got the background to not create the contrast. So I exposed for the dark fur, the details in the horns, and let the snow blow out around him, because I wanted to increase contrast in my frame. The bright white removes every distraction, so your eyes are locked in. In wildlife photography, sometimes the background needs to disappear, so emotions can take over. It is so important to find contrast within your subject as well, not just with the environment. This image is all about one thing: the eyes. I didn't need to invent contrast here. It was already there, waiting. The eyes were catching light naturally. All I had to do was see it, wait for it, and click it. Everything else, the shadows, the deep fur, even the black and white processing, was built to support that one decision: make the eyes stand out. Look how the light catches them. Look how everything else, the frame, the fur, the tone, push you towards the eye. This is how you use contrast, not just to show something, but to make someone feel seen by the subject. You don't need complex gear or perfect conditions. Sometimes you just need to wait for the light and let contrast do its job. Contrast is about trying to point your viewer's eye exactly where you want it to. Sometimes I just see in the photograph, sometimes I've made my image the darkest, sometimes I've made find my image the lightest. Sometimes I've used contrast to pull the viewer's eyes straight to where I want them to see. Yes, photography is about lighting. Yes, photography is about sharpness. Yes, photography is about all the other stuff. But contrast is so important. Whether it's color contrast, whether it's exposure contrast, whatever contrast, use contrast intentionally. Don't just let it happen. Move yourself around in the frame, up, down, side to side, however you can find the contrast between your subject and the background and even the foreground. And believe me, your images are going to start turning out to being so much better. Once you start getting really good results out of this, please send me a message and let me know. I would love to hear about your success stories with these tutorials. I will speak to you guys soon. Thank you.